Hi everyone. First of all, I want to apologize about two things. My hair. I went to sleep with wet hair last night, and this is what I get. Second of all, the fan. Um, my apartment does not have air conditioning, and it is hot as fuck. So I literally have a fan sitting on the bed next to my lap. So it's just blowing straight on me. Um, It is so fucking hot. It's not as hot as South Carolina with all of its humidity, but it hurts without the air conditioning. At least in South Carolina, we had air conditioning. We don't have that here. Anyways, I was not going to make another video this soon, but I have been messaged and asked some rather. The lighting is terrible over here, by the way. Just absolutely terrible. At least y'all know I don't use filters because this is horrible. But oh, hi. Bird outside my window. Anyways, um, so I have been emailed about my last video. I mean, they're valid questions. So I was asked that if I trying to reword it. I was asked how I could write novels like I do under my alias because I am a survivor of domestic and sexual abuse. How can I write those novels and glorify abuse? Honey, I am not glorifying nothing. Especially my book Cower. Granted, that's under it came out under Kelly Strickland and is now under Ollie Dupree, so it is not to the extent of my alias. Okay. Everyone deals with the aftermath of abuse differently. I had one friend at one time I had one friend who was raped repeatedly as a young child. Um, and by the time she turned 13, she thought her worth was in her sexuality, and the only way to show or gain love was to put out. So she became, for the longest time, for most of her teens, for all of her teens, she was very promiscuous, thinking that was the only way she could be accepted, because that's what she was taught through her abuse. There are people like me who kind of shun away from intimacy. There's no right or wrong way to heal from the torture that other people inflicted upon your psyche. I'm trying to word this. I should have written this down. I should have made a script. But I don't like that because it makes everything seem so flat. And I like to just speak my mind as it's coming out. I feel more authentic that way. Writing my books is therapeutic for me. Sometimes when a scene comes up and there is abuse or rape or inappropriate physical contact. Yes, while I'm writing it, I feel the anxiety in the pit of my stomach. I get the knots. I get all those bad feelings sometimes. Well, on the onset. As I'm writing it though, I get to twist things around. I get to control the feelings. I couldn't control the feelings as it was happening to me. But as I'm writing it, I am in complete control. All right, sorry, I had to fix my lipstick. That was driving me fucking crazy. That was horrible lipstick, and I will never use it again. So, like I was saying, I have complete control over emotions and feelings, and while I'm writing, and in the process, I sometimes make the characters start enjoying it. And I can't explain it. I'm not the only one like this. I thought I was at first. So, my first novel under my alias almost never got released because I was terrified that I was the only one who felt this way. But then I let somebody read an arc, and they loved it. And as time has gone on, it's been like 3 years now since my debut novel came out under her. And a majority of my reader base have experienced domestic violence, verbally and physically and sexually. And they all think like I do. Do they condone that in real life? No, they don't. They never would. Because some of these groups I'm a part of, we don't just talk about books. We talk about personal experiences and current relationship statuses. And some of the things that are in my books and other authors who write the same genre that I do. When somebody comes into the group and says, look, this is what's going on in my life and I don't know what to do. I'm confused and I'm scared and I don't know what to do. Me and all the other people who are giving my books 5-star ratings and reviews are like, get out. It's not safe. Run. Go away. Because that's real life, you know? In the books, it's fine because it's fiction, it's fantasy. It's a world that we can control. It's a totally different ballpark. Like I said, not everybody heals the same way. But unless you're the type of person like me and my fan base. Okay, like for instance, I was talking to a guy recently, somebody I care very much for, and we were discussing what is and is not appropriate in our eyes as far as relationship goes. And I don't remember exactly what was said, but it came up to the subject of a man dominating me I really hate my lipstick still. Okay. I'm not sure. I've talked about this in another video. Whether or not that video was ever published, I don't know because I don't go back and watch my own stuff. So I don't know if it ever got published. I'm sorry, I'm watching this bird. There's a tree right. There's a tree right up. We did laundry last night. Don't look at that. And there's a bird. And I'm watching. It's anyways. I may not have been in a real relationship in a very long time, but I know what I like. I know what I like from reading, from writing, from dreaming, watching movies, watching television shows, listening to other people's stories. I know what I like. And I want a daddy. I want a man to dominate me. I like the choking and the spanking and the whore and the slut. I love all that stuff. That gets my juices flowing. And he said, how can, after everything you've been through, because he's known me since I was like 13, 12. He's like, how, after everything you've been through, I'm surprised you would like that. Well, maybe, I'm not going to lie, maybe because of what I went through, I am slightly conditioned now. I'll tell you one thing, I will not accept that attitude in a disrespectful manner. And yes, there is a difference. If the man is calling me a whore because he's mad at me, that's not going to fly. If he is slapping me because he's mad at me, he might end up on the news, because I'm not going to put up with that either, ever again. In fact, the last time since my divorce, the last time I connected with a man, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the man. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with him. He's the one. He's perfect. Well, one night he got drunk while we were on the phone. He was drunk and he called me a pussy in a derogatory manner, not in a caught up in the eroticism. And I have not spoken to him since. And it has been like 3.5 years. And I'll tell you what, that man still texts me. Texted me like 2 weeks ago. Are you still mad at me? Apparently my silence is not a good enough answer as to whether or not I'm still mad. He is also someone I've known since I was like 10 or 11 or 12. So he saw what I went through. So for him to say that to me in a derogatory manner broke every ounce of trust I could ever have with him. If he were someone new in my life who didn't know and see firsthand what I went through, that could be different. Because I could be like, yo, that's not cool. This is what I went through. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I had no clue. I'll never do that again. But no, he knew. And as much as I cared for him, and as much as I honestly saw a long-term situation with him, that very moment, as soon as that text came through, I never responded to him again. I never spoke a single word to him again. It would be different if he tried to apologize to me. Maybe then I can at least forgive him enough to be friends with him again. But he hasn't even tried to apologize, which shows me things might not necessarily have been any different with him than with my exes. So yeah, I can understand why it might be confusing to some that a person who has been through what I've been through writes the things that I write. I understand that. But you also got to look at it from another point of view. A dominating man, if done properly, can make a woman feel, or a man, or another man, can make a person feel safe. When he is laying down the rules, so to say, it takes all the guesswork away. I don't have to worry about, am I pleasing him? Am I doing things right? Because he's telling me what he wants. And again, I know I'm going to get some hate for this, so but I don't care. It has to be done with respect. It has to be done with mutual understanding and discussion. He's not going to just pop up in my life and say, "Look, you're my whore. This is how it's going to be." No, that's not how it's going to be. We're going to get to know each other first. We're going to build a bond, a friendship, a connection. And if things go further than that and progress further than that, then we need to sit down and say, okay, this is what I am looking for in a partner, and this is what I am looking for in a partner. And if everything matches accordingly, perfect. If not, either you walk away or you learn to compromise. There are a lot of people out there in a DS relationship. A lot of people that you know personally, but they don't flaunt it and let it be public that that's what they're into. There are a lot of DS healthy relationships out there. Please, please, please do not look at bullshit like 50 Shades of Grey. Please do not look at my novels as guidelines. Those are not healthy. I'm going to flat out say that right out now. Those are not healthy. But again, it's fiction. Just like my favorite genre of movie to watch is horror. You could ask the same question after everything you've been through with your exes. How can you sit there and enjoy watching people getting beat up and murdered and slaughtered? Because I'm a masochist. Plain and simple, I'm a fucking masochist, and I'm proud to admit that. That's just who I am, and I'm not ashamed of it. Why do some people like to read and watch sci-fi? It's just what they like. So don't come up in people's lives and shame their kink. Okay? Everybody has some people like feet. I don't get it, but I'm never going to sit there and yuck on someone's yum. It's just a kink fetish. Relax. Nobody is promoting a man to go out and kidnap and beat and sodomize their women and then have the women, oh baby, I love it harder, more. No, nobody's promoting that. Nobody lays their hands on you in a vicious, violent manner. If you are uncomfortable and feel unsafe, you get the fuck out. I've already discussed this in my Cower video. It will not change. It will not get better. He will not improve. It will get worse. Run. Do not tolerate that bullshit. However, if this is a role-playing situation that y'all two both have come to an agreement with and enjoy, rock on and get your kicks off. But do it safely. It's so pretty. Some people like to get high and have sex. That's their kink. I, my personal kink is I like to be submissive. I like to have the daddy or the sir. I like to be choked. I like to be spanked. And I'm not ashamed of that. And if you're not into that, then we're probably not going to mesh as a couple. I'm not going to go into a list of all and list all of my interests because that is something personal between me and whomever I end up with. If you don't understand the process, then just don't understand. But don't try to make somebody else feel subpar because they choose to find healing in chaos, however they feel the urge to do so. These are books of fantasy. And I'm going to call on Stephen King again. He's not promoting murder. I mean, most of his are kind of, well, no. Not all of his are like fantasy. Some of his people are like, some of his books are about real people killing other people. Like people who like reading books about crime and murder and stuff like that, they're not promoting murder. They're not promoting mafia or drug lords or theft or gangs or anything like that. They're getting an escape from reality through a controlled environment of words that don't hurt anyone because nobody is making you read that motherfucking book. Now, if they were on the television or in your face spewing this shit when you don't want to hear it, that's different. But nobody's telling you to pick up that book and read it. So if you don't like it, walk the fuck away. It's simple as that. Just like on Facebook, scroll on. You don't have to sit there and look at it. You don't have to have that person on your timeline. You can unfriend them, you can block them, whatever. This is not your world. This is a world created of billions of people, all with different likes, behaviors, thoughts, kinks. And you have to learn how to live amongst other people who might not necessarily match everything in your box to a check. He's talking to his girlfriend. They're so cute. The level of self entitlement in society these days is baffling me. The world is beautiful because of the variety of people. If everyone thought exactly the same, if everybody looked exactly the same, this would be a very bland existence. And as much as you want it now, if you ever got it, you would fucking hate it. Because what else would you have to bitch about? You don't have to like other people's ways of living. But if they are not hurting you, you have to accept it. Bottom line, you don't want to read erotica, taboo, CNC, breeding, stuff like that. I'm not going to go on. Then don't fucking read it. Go pick up your little Women's Day magazine and read that. You have a right to do whatever you want. Just like we have a right to do whatever we want. My books aren't hurting you. They're not being forced in your head. They're not being forced in your hand. Nobody is making you read them. In fact, I don't want you to read my book. My books under Kelly, Ollie, or the alias are not for everyone. And I know that. And I'm okay with that. I have never tried to push my books on anyone. I only recommend to people who are looking specifically for those certain tropes. And if I have any slight doubt that maybe that person is not necessarily looking for my extremities, then I don't recommend. I move on. I scroll on. My fan base is small because I will not conform, because I will not bow down to the so-called masses and write what is so-called appropriate. I write about real, flawed characters. And I've discussed this before. And I'm never going to stop writing that way. I am not in this career to appease everyone. I am not doing this to make bestsellers. I mean, it would be nice, not going to lie. But that is not my goal. My goal is to reach other people like me. And every day, I'm seeing more and more people like me. Again, that's something that you're going to have to learn to deal with. So, I don't know if I necessarily explained a proper or an acceptable answer to the question in my inbox. But you don't always get the answers or the results you want. I have a feeling their question was more hypothetical and a manipulation tactic to, oh my God, she's right. I shouldn't be writing this stuff. Nope. In fact, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be publishing book number 50. 50. Filled with everything so-called normal society hates. But you know what? My small group of readers are drooling at the mouth waiting for it. Because I already gave them a small snippet of one of the scenes. And they can't wait. I write for them. It may not be as big a fan base as Colleen Hoover, but I don't care. I have a lot of author friends who are like, oh, I can't wait to be just like her, blah, 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 blah. Not me. I don't want to fit in. Again, it would be fucking groovy as fuck if one day I woke up and saw number one by one of my books. But I'm not going to hold my breath, and I'm not going to bend or change or adapt to make it happen. I am going to be authentic to my characters and my readers. Now, my alias has no personal pictures. Obviously, how can I be anonymous if I showed my face? Or I'm kind of hard to mistake for somebody else. The tattoos kind of give it away. So I have no personal pictures anywhere associated with my alias. And one day I was scrolling through a Facebook group, and somebody was asking for recommendations for one of the tropes that I happen to have written a book about. And somebody recommended that particular book. And a man responded saying, yes, she's a fucking goddess. So clearly, you are not the majority thought process of hating my type of books. Goddess. Just, he was cute too. Oh my God, he was cute. Because he had a real picture. And yeah, I went and trolled him. He was cute. Too young for me, though. He was only like 31. I doubt I answered your question how you wanted it answered. And I doubt you got the results you were looking for. But this is it. This is it. This is what you're going to get. And I'm not sorry. I'm not ashamed. I know you could argue that I must be ashamed if I won't reveal who I am, but I am not ashamed. My choice to stay anonymous is not based off of insecurity or shame. It is based off of consideration for my family. I don't want to make them awkward, and I don't want to put them in an awkward position. My son knows what I write, and he's okay with it. So if your email was an attempt to make me feel guilty for what I do, try with someone else, honey. Because it failed miserably on me. One of these days, my alias is going to be exposed. And when that happens, I will accept my identity proudly. And when that happens, the family members that I am trying to protect will just have to either get over it or cut me loose. I have no qualms whatsoever about losing people. I like to avoid it. But if they can't accept it, then they gotta go. And I guess that ends my little video for tonight. There's really not much else I can say without getting too aggressive. And if I do that, then I'm sinking to their level and I know better than them, so what would be the point? So, if your mind is strong enough to be open and accept differences in the world, then you are welcome here. And if you are too small minded and weak to accept that not everyone is going to be a cookie cutter version of you, then you're going to get blocked if you try to stir up troubles. You're not going to stop me. You're not going to deter me. And you are not going to shame me. I am too old to play games. I am too set in my ways to deal with bullshit. And too fucking lazy to change my ways to fit other people's perceptions of acceptance. No propaganda here, people. It's not. It's not cool. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna wash all this shit off my face. Probably wash my hair again because, like I said, I fell asleep with it wet, and now it's just like, ugh, whatever. Can't do anything with it. Whatever. All right, I'm gonna go. Don't be a dick. It's not that hard to just look away. It's not that hard to move on. It's not that hard to be compassionate and open minded. Don't be a dick. It's really that simple. Mind your fucking business. Again, really that simple. So, bye bye.